Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. What a great way to kick off the new year by unlocking the best year yet by realizing who you were meant to be, aligning your values, and embracing the journey. I wanted to give us a space to be able to truly look at how do we make this the best year yet? And I'm just so excited to be here with you. So, what are we going to learn? We are going to look at bored, burned out. How do you tell if it's time for a career change? um, Looking at aligning your goals and your values, and also sustaining the momentum for progress. How do you do this? It's so amazing whenever you can figure out the signs and symptoms of being bored and burned out. It really makes a difference. So, have you ever had that nagging feeling that something isn't quite right with your career or your life? Maybe you dread Mondays, or you feel unvalued, or this deep sense that you were made for more. I remember a time in my life when I felt that same way. Looking back on my career, I was bored and burned out. I was moving every year and a half to 3 years. I was in a very lucrative career of pharmaceuticals. I was learning tons and I was making a difference in people's lives. However, and I was winning awards. So no one ever along the way thought, Martha, you might be in the wrong role. But looking back now, my moving, my getting promoted every year and a half to 3 years, my taking a new role and moving locations, my changing companies, they were just signs that I was bored and burned out. It wasn't until I had the opportunity to serve an amazing team that I did an assessment called Predictive Index, and it actually showed me what my drivers were. And what's important for me is that I have all different types of tasks to do. And so it's looking at recognizing and getting curious. What do I have going on? And why am I so bored? Why am I burned out? What is off? So today we're going to explore how to recognize those things and figure out how to align your core values and how you are wired to sustain momentum in your career and also set yourself up for great goals. So think about these things that I'm showing you: feeling drained, stuck, or uninspired, questioning purpose or impact, constantly thinking there must be more than this. Go ahead and either write it down or put it in the chat. Do any of these resonate with you? Does one sound like you? Taking the time to really see what's happening and being able to recognize and honor it is the first step. Whoops. So, if you're feeling stuck, let's now shift and let's talk about how we realize it. You must pay attention and get curious, like I mentioned, about yourself, about how you're feeling. Because once we get curious and we can look underneath, then it will tell us what's happening. For me, once I realized that I was out of alignment with who God designed me to be, it was like God took a huge bright light and turned that light on in a very dark room. It was life changing. I had the opportunity to serve that team that I mentioned. I was also able to help those women that possibly weren't in the right role skill up to get to where they were meant to be. They came to life. I came to life. And it truly is life changing. So the first step, as you see, is recognize the signs. Then we look at aligning your goals with your values. So, how do we do this? How do we recognize that something's off? Be true to who you were meant to be and make a shift. Well, we need to discover who we were designed to be first. God wired each one of us very, very differently. And I'm here to tell you that once you understand how you're wired and what you value, there's so much freedom in it. Within the being of who you are lies those core values that God put in you. They make you unique. And each one of us has a different blend of our values. When you look at your specific goals, you must ask yourself, are your goals aligned with the values that you have inside you? Or is it someone else's expectation? When I heard that, it just was mind blowing to me because it really puts things into perspective. Are we looking at our own values and our own goals or someone else's? Most of my life, I lived by, oh, Martha, you're good at that. This, you should try that. So I did. And it's like I checked the boxes of every other person that was in my life rather than trying to figure out what are the things that are important to me. So, another aspect of it is, did you know that Gallup did a survey and they actually found that by the second Friday of January, most people give up on their resolutions or goals. For this year, that meant only 10 days. Can you believe that? So by 10 days, most people in America let go of their goals and resolutions. So why is that? When I got thinking about this concept of how we're wired and what we value, it's because we looked at someone, maybe our friend, maybe someone we work with, and said, wow, they were really successful at hiking up Kilimanjaro, some crazy goal. But we've never a day gone hiking. So does it really make sense that we're doing that? So how do we get over this hump of the quit day? How do we know that what we're focusing on is true to us? I believe things fizzle out because they're not true to us. They are not anything that actually is within us that drives us forward. For example, my values are honesty, faith, and altruism, or helping people. Knowing my values and what's important to me, there's so much freedom in it. It gives me the flexibility to say, okay, when I have the capacity and my schedule's not full, I can say, yes, I can go to that. But if I don't, I can with confidence say, wow, I know you're going to have an amazing time. However, or no, let's not take however. I know you're going to have a great time. I just don't have the capacity. And you can thank them for thinking about you, to invite you, which is amazing. So do know that what's important to you matters for a reason. So let's ask yourself, what is important to you? Whenever you think about this question, I want you to not think at all. Whatever the first thing is that comes to mind, write it down or put it in the chat. It could be anything from your car, it could be an outfit, it could be having nice hair, it could be like me, faith, honesty, altruism. Whatever the first thing is that comes to mind is what is important to you. We all have a different blend, and that is okay. There's no right or wrong answer here, so don't think too hard about it. Now you can take yourself through this activity and just keep asking yourself, what's important, what's important, what's important? And you just write down until you feel complete. I will, at the end, give you a resource if you are interested in it to actually identify your values. It's a link that you can go through like a flashcard, picking the things that are important to you. Just keep asking yourself, what's important to me? And then it will ask you, what's most important to you? And then it will actually give you your top 5. Now, this isn't the best way to do it. It is not working through it. It actually takes a few hours to get the most accurate values for you. If you're interested in that, I would love to help you through this. So when it comes to knowing your values, you can take everything in through this filter. Like I mentioned, it tells you, yes, I can do something. No, I can't. So remember, my values are honesty, faith, and altruism. So say a friend that is going to an architectural conference comes to me and says, hey, Martha, I have this conference. It's out in San Diego. By the way, that is one of my favorite places to go, San Diego. And I love connecting with this person. So say my calendar is full. If it doesn't bring me closer to my faith, if it's not helping people, and if I don't feel honest about it, I'm not doing it. So say my schedule's packed, I can say, thank you so much for inviting me. I know you're going to have an amazing time. I just don't have the capacity to do it. Whereas if I do and my calendar is empty, I can say yes, because heck, I might learn something new and I love learning. So let's realign our values with what matters most to you and our goals. This is when it truly matters. Building goals that are aligned with who we are and what God instilled in us is what's going to help us to be most successful. When your goals are achievable, you can then put a plan in place to actually accomplish them. When your vision for your life or your job are aligned, you can get super specific. So I'm sure most of you have heard of SMART goals. If you haven't, this is a great way to really have a litmus or something to hold you accountable. Is this a good goal that I'm making? So, for example, if I set the goal, I want to achieve 10 signed clients by the end of the first quarter. It is specific. It's what I want to do. Measurable, 10. I want to get 10 by the last day of the last month of the quarter. Achievable. Think about it like this. Have you ever done this before? So say I've never achieved 10 people in one quarter. Say I've done 5. So maybe 10 is your stretch goal and 6 or 7 is your new goal. That would be most achievable. Then relevant. I have seen either realistic or relevant in this spot of the R. I prefer relevant because it poses the question, is this relevant to your business? Is this relevant to the vision of your career or your life? If it's not relevant, why are we doing it? And then time bound, the last day of the last month of the quarter. So I achieved all of those things in that very short goal, but it's a way for you to truly see, okay, am I looking at the right goal for what alignment of myself and my career or business is? If there's a gap, sometimes we need help. And so I would love to connect with you and see how I can ask you those questions, different questions to get out what your goal is. Sometimes we need someone that's non-biased to be able to help us see things in a different way. And that's okay. We're here to do this life together. Now we're going to give you a few minutes to name a goal that you have for your year and tie it to a value. Aligning these goals is truly important. They're stepping stones so that you can see true success. This is what's going to make it the best year yet, is taking the time. Because let's be honest, waiting won't help you, because once you step away from your computer, once you step away from today, you may not do it. And that is okay. But next thing you know it's June and we had great intentions and we didn't do any of it. So let's take a moment now. Write down a goal that you had for your year. Write it down. Make sure it's done in the SMART format, as we talked about before. And then ask yourself, what is important to me about this goal? Whatever comes up, write it down. Ask yourself several times. If you don't have anything that's coming up, I would be bold enough to say, why are you working towards that goal? Because there's nothing in alignment for you. But if it brings up things that don't make you feel good, that's another way to know that you're not working towards the right thing. So take a minute, pause this if you need, go get a sheet of paper or write it in the comments. And I look forward to hearing what your goals and values are. It's also essential to have a positive outlook. How can you align, act, and achieve what you're trying to do in your life? Reflect on your values and align them with where you want to take your life and career. If you don't plan for progress, life will pass you by, as we mentioned. Sometimes we have to do simple things. Like, something that has made me successful is, if it's not in my calendar, I'm not doing it. And I have found that when I time block, it's called time block if you're not familiar, you just put it into your week. So say on Sunday, you want to take 30 minutes to an hour, block the time so that you can look at the things that you have to do during the week. Are those things moving you forward to achieve your goals? If they're not, why are we doing it? Then midweek, Wednesday or Thursday, block another 30 to an hour, whatever you think you need. One, to work on business things that often go by the wayside, whether you're working for someone or not, like expenses, like mileage, like all the tedious things that we know we need to do, even meal prepping for the following week, whatever helps you be prepared. You can evaluate that and see, also put in time to also look at, are we moving towards our goals or did we get very off course? I want to make sure that I set you up for the best year yet. And we can do this together by just putting in these simple framework in so that you can feel like you're having progress. And also, we need to celebrate. I want to build a community that is truly engaged and truly here to support each other. That's why I formed No Limits. And I believe that if this isn't the community for you, let me know. Or if you're not getting out of the community what you think you would like to have, I'm always willing to improve and see how I can serve you more. But also, if you have goals, let's celebrate. I love dancing and celebrating when my friends and people in my community are achieving their goals. I think that we as adults we forget to play. We forget to celebrate because we're just trying to make it through the day. Let's redirect our focus. Try to celebrate those wins, whether they're big or small, and help each other through this life. Together, we are so much stronger. So if any of this resonated with you and you are intrigued and want to hear more, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at martha@findpurpose.today, or you can actually schedule some time with me. It's 60 minutes. If we don't use the time, that's okay. But I would just love to see if there's any way that we can work together to make a difference in your life and get you on the right career path. So have a great day. I'm so glad you joined me. I hope you found it valuable, and I look forward to next month's topic of how do we have these difficult conversations with love. Take care.